Might Ukraine have National Socialist symbols in it, going beyond the Azov battalion, and maybe an ideology to match? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. The increasingly popular Twitter influencer Dom Lucre announced late last night that he intends dropping a thread on Ukraine. In several tweets, he alleged that Ukraine actually shares many ideological elements and symbols in common with National Socialist Germany. This goes further than the apparent toleration of the Azov battalion, which everybody knows is a militia or paramilitary group that use such symbols and professes such ideology. And remember, they lost Mariupol. Dom Lucre alleges that this ideology pervades and animates Ukrainian society at all levels. Before I describe the previews he dropped for his proposed thread and some material I've seen to dispute that notion, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which quotes Aldous Huxley saying, "Facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored." Does Dom Lucre have facts? Well, he definitely has some photographic and other evidence that I would advise my fellow Americans not to ignore. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, let's start with an important question. Why is he doing this? Well, late yesterday afternoon, a Twitter user named Nikolaj, now that's actually spelled with a J at the end, but as you know, a Slavic J is pronounced more like I or Y. I've linked in the description to this man's profile. Well, he tweeted out a reply to something that Dom Lucre said in the Rob Reiner thread about President Lyndon Johnson. I have links in the description to both Nikolaj's tweet and Dom Lucre's reply. Now notice, first of all, the Ukrainian flag in Nikolaj's display name. So, what does he say? He said, "Sure old cornbone," it's my nickname, the nickname I remember LBJ by, used a certain racial slur a lot, but he gave African Americans something resembling legal equality for the first time in American history. Dom Lucre took exception to that, as he should, because Nikolaj missed the point. Whatever good President Lyndon Johnson is supposed to have done cannot excuse his patronizing attitude or his defining duplicity. He pours out enough oil to run an engine on two of the most prominent and iconic civil rights leaders of his day. They include Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Just after accrediting a political operative with teaching black people how to vote. Ugh! That in addition to uttering a racial slur that goes back to the slave days, as Mark Twain documented. Now, as an aside, the late Senator John H. Glenn Jr. of Ohio could have given anyone an earful about Lyndon Johnson. Tom Wolfe documented that in his historical work, The Right Stuff. Now, furthermore, Dom Lucre asserted that documentary proof exists that the Central Intelligence Agency worked with Johnson to assassinate both President Kennedy and Dr. King. Now, I haven't seen those files, but in the replies Lucre got, no one disputed that assertion. In fact, that's been part of American folklore for a very long time, almost since those two men died. The replies Lucre got were mostly positive, but one tweet in particular is directly relevant. This user, whose account name is Margaret Kinsella, actually said Ukrainians are racist and have such racism in common with the original National Socialists. She even asserted that the regime made blacks wait until authorities had evacuated all the whites from certain war-torn areas. So that's pretty grim, if true. Nobody stepped forward to dispute that either, last time I checked. Now, did that user inspire Lucre to start this thread? No, he had already dropped his previews by the time she left that. But it constitutes further evidence, so I consider it still valuable. Before I describe Lucre's preview tweets, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy to your future. Now then, as I said, he started dropping those tweets late last night. He dropped 5 tweets for a Ukraine thread just 2 minutes after he gave that reply to Nikolaj. I have links to all 5 in the description. Nothing gory here, but you will see a video taken in the Gorodok Gallery Mall in Kiev, showing a bright red flag with a swastika on it, right between the escalators. Now, in all fairness, one user disputed the authenticity of that symbol, saying it was a Russian hack. I have a link to her tweet in the description, but just remember, she used some unladylike language, so use parental judgment and discretion. I will say at the outset that I am highly skeptical of the Russia hack theory. I saw people going about their business as if that were the usual kind of display on that LED panel. Now, for what it's worth, France 24 has a 4-minute segment disputing virtually every claim of a National Socialist symbol in Ukraine. It's on YouTube, and I have a link to it in the description. But I will also say that I am skeptical of anything coming out of French media as long as Emmanuel Macron remains as president of France. That could be globalist propaganda. Credibility of the witnesses is always difficult to assess in a case like this. By the way, don't let Dom Lucre's labeling of the venue as the CNAV Store fool you. The name of the establishment is Gorodok Gallery Mall. That term CNAV is a derogatory Russian term for Ukrainians, though I understand that Ukrainians themselves use the term to throw back in Russians' faces. Another user reminded everyone that Representative Ro Khanna of California is on record against assistance to the Azov Battalion. I have a link in the description to a tweet quoting a statement by Khanna in 2018. You might remember Bo Khanna from my FBI Twitter supplemental video, in which he, alone among Democrats, protested the abridgment of freedom of speech. Then we have a user calling himself Ghost of War 75, who seemed ready to authenticate the flag with the swastika and crossbars with Ukraine colors filling in. He tweeted out a photograph showing a NATO flag next to Azov and obvious neo-National Socialist flags. Now, here's my analysis. At time of posting, Dom Lucre has shown no inclination to cancel his planned thread on Ukraine, but it's worth remembering Jennifer Long's thread casting serious doubt on the justice of that country's cause. And I think you also want to remember the allegations of biological weapons development laboratories in Ukraine. No one whom I can trust has presented any evidence to the contrary. So Dom Lucre might indeed have a new angle on that part of the world. Now, at 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time, he dropped another hint that he might delay the thread for 11 more days. Something about dropping the thread after his birthday to make sure that he would see it. I don't know what that's all about, but you can read it for yourselves. I've left a link to the tweet in the description. Now, his birthday is 11 days away. He might need to take that long to research his subject, or he might not. Everyone will have to wait and see. But if he follows his usual practice, he will have the receipts. Every American should see those so that they can decide what pitch to make to their senators and representatives. And that will go double if the president seeks an authorization for the use of military force, which, for the record, I absolutely oppose for reasons I have already discussed. Links in the description of the article, to the profile by user Nikolaj, to the sequence that provoked Dom Lucre to tweet about Ukraine, to that other tweet hinting at National Socialist sympathies in Ukraine, to Lucre's 5 preview tweets, to the tweet and YouTube video disputing that account, to 2 other tweets supporting Lucre, to Lucre's own tweet mentioning his upcoming birthday, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to ourcivilized.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to the Ukraine, the playlist, the Rob Reiner video, and the France 24 video. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.